This video is brought to you by the Deck of Mini and their Big Bad Booklet series, and by the Roll for Combat Actual Play podcast and their Agents of Edgewatch Adventure. Hello and welcome back to The Gallant Goblin. I'm Theo and this is Tilly. You may be wondering why Tilly is here. Well, we were just filming our Cats and Catacombs video and I didn't have the heart to move her before we got to this one. Today, we have our next minion box from Steamforged Games, Hall of the Orc King. This box includes everything you need to run a short adventure at your table, from minis to maps to stat blocks and an adventure in and of itself. As this is a winter-themed box, it might slot in nicely if you're also running Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frost Maiden, or Storm King's Thunder, or similar. This set is expected to be released in late November 2020 for an MSRP of $49.95, and it has a follow-up set, Caverns of the Frost Giant, that we'll be reviewing soon, maybe with Tilly or maybe without, we'll see. So let's open this box up and take a closer look. Hall of the Orc King tells the story of a clan of powerful orcs known as the Grimfang Orcs, who live in the mountains with dreams of sweeping across the land of humans, elves, and dwarves. They're led by a fearsome orcish king, who is rumored to be immortal. They're also rumored to be allied with a frost giant, who has imbued them with a frosty appearance. The book provides you with a number of potential story hooks to bring you into conflict with the Grimfang Orcs, and these can all be adapted to almost any ongoing campaign. This adventure is easy to slot in anytime your party is near a mountainous area, whether you're playing Rime of the Frost Maiden, Storm King's Thunder, Rise of Tiamat, or what have you. Let's learn more about the story by looking at the minis. As you can see, the minis are packaged very safely in the box. This time they come in an appropriately chilly blue plastic. There are 20 minis in all. First are 6 standard Grimfang orcs in 2 varieties. 3 are armed with spears and 3 with bows. The stat block for the Grimfang orc is identical to the standard orc stat block from the basic rules, except these include stats for the longbow and spear, while the standard orc has a great axe and javelin. Next, we have 2 Grimfang Orc Gladiators. These orcs are a bit more dexterous than your average orc and have cold resistance. They come armed with dual swords with which they can multi-attack. You'll find these 2 duking it out in the fighting pits inside the stronghold. You also receive 2 Slaughterkin Orogs. Orogs are orcs who have been blessed with more strength and cunning. The Slaughterkin Orog has a standard Orog stat block from the monster manual, but comes armed with a very cool looking Morning Star rather than a great axe. Next is a Grimfang Orc Shaman. This ferocious orc is a 3rd level spellcaster with cleric spells like Augury, Spiritual Weapon, Command, and Bless. But he's no pushover in melee combat either. He has a so-called sacrificial spike weapon and deals more melee damage due to his murderous frenzy trait. The Orc Shaman has a similar stat block to the Orc Eye of Grumsh from the monster manual. Half of this adventure takes place in a feasting hall, and you get some appropriately themed orcs to go along with it. This is the Grimfang Orc Cook. 2 of them come in this set. They run into the heat of battle with a meat saw in one hand and a leg of lamb in the other, which they can chow down on as a bonus action to regain some health. They also get a D4 rolling table to determine what improvised weapons they might be able to grab, like an eel corpse or a fistful of manticore quills. You also get 2 Grimfang Orc Grogmasters, who have a spiked tankard of ale in each hand. As long as they stay near a keg to keep their tankard full, they're resistant to all damage, and you can enrage the Grogmaster by destroying one of his barrels. He may just smash his tankard over your head in retaliation. One of the coolest minis in the set is the Grimfang Orc mounted on an ice shelf polar bear. You get 4 of these. These guys are just the first to get painted in my house. I just love them. The ice shelf polar bear gets its own stat block in the book based on the polar bear stat block from the basic rules. You may want to look up the rules for mounted combat in the player's handbook when you play these guys. Finally, we have our Grimfang Orc King. This fella is just a brute. He's well armored in chainmail, making him tough to damage. He has a hefty amount of hit points and a heavy warhammer to bring some pain. And gang up on him at your peril because he just gets angrier and more dangerous when surrounded. The included map is 23 and a quarter by 15 and 3/4 inches. One side features a great outdoor winter scene that almost looks like an aerial photograph. This is a map you can certainly use in many winter-based adventures. There are trees for cover, shelves of elevation, a frozen over lake, and a door leading into the mountain layer. The opposite side shows the inside of the mountain hall where you can see the feasting table, a fighting pit, a gantry, a cooking pot, and other dining hall material. As always, the star of the show is the adventure book by Mr. Richard August that strives to present a unique and cinematic adventure that takes full advantage of the setting. I've given you the setup. There are 8 different potential plot hooks to bring your party to the orc stronghold. The adventure picks up as they arrive. First, you get a D6 rolling table to see what the weather is like. And this is something you can use in any of your wintry, mountainy adventures. Maybe it's sleeting, affecting your ranged attacks. Maybe there's a storm brewing, filling the air with ozone and electrical potential. There's lots of fun ways to shake things up for your players. The first half of the adventure takes place outside the Orc Hall as the party approaches through the snow. Not only does the party have to contend with the polar bear-mounted orcs returning from a hunt and another group doing a spot of ice fishing, there's also some hazardous terrain. If you're not careful, you might go tumbling down the steep ridges or fall through the ice if too many of your attacks have missed the target and hit the underlying ice instead. Finally, they have to find a way through the massive oaken doors into the main hall, and a variety of approaches are discussed in the book. Once inside the massive feasting hall, the characters are going to be in for a massive brawl, like the worst family Thanksgiving ever. You've got the aforementioned cooks and grog masters, you've got 2 gladiators battling out in the fighting pits, and you've got the Orc King himself seated at the high table with his right-hand shaman and his 2 Orog bodyguards, all waiting until the characters have been softened up before engaging directly. But the orcs don't just immediately all turn and assault the characters in a coordinated attack. Some are just drunkenly brawling with each other. Some decide to just go and get seconds and more grog, so the party can still maintain a modicum of stealth as they navigate their way toward the king. Again, the terrain is put to good use. The characters can crawl under or onto the feasting table. They can knock orcs into the fighting pit or fall in themselves. One side of the hall has a stack of grog barrels that reacts, as you might expect, to fire. But if the characters decide to indulge in some of the grog themselves, there's another nice D6 rolling table to see what the consequences are. Another table that can be reused anytime a character swigs something particularly potent. Maybe they'll get poisoned, maybe they'll get tipsy, maybe they'll just enjoy it and get some health back. If the characters approach the cooking pot, they may get overwhelmed by the pungent odor, but they may also just get knocked into the pot themselves or force an orc headfirst into the stew themselves. Oh, and overhead there's a chandelier, just ready for your party's swashbuckler. And finally, your party must face the Orc King and his entourage in a final epic brawl. And once the king is defeated, and all seems right with the world, the party learns about what lurks behind the ice wall at the back of the room. Once again, the adventure level is customizable. Using a chart at the front of the book, you can adjust the damage dice and the DCs depending on what tier of play your party is at. I only have 3 suggestions for improvements of the whole box set. 2 are kind of holdovers from the last Kobold sets. First, it would be helpful to have the names of the monsters bolded in the text to help me quickly grab the minis I need depending on where the players are on the map. Next, it would be very handy to have the monster stat blocks on cards that I could have handy as we're playing. There's some also fantastic art in the book of the monsters, and the players never really get to see this. So having the cards with the art on one side that I could show the players and the stats on the back for me, that would just be really helpful. And finally, Steamforged has done some really helpful painting guides for some of their other unpainted minis, and I would love to see them do them for these. Since they're all Grimfang orcs, they could maybe just show the basic paint job of a Grimfang orc, and you can apply that general paint job to all the orcs. Once again, Steamforge has come up with a box here that should be useful to many GMs out there. An Orc Stronghold, an Orc King, Big Bad, or easy foes to incorporate into most any ongoing campaign. If you already have a mountain-based Orc antagonist in your story, it should be really easy to weave this into that story into this box set. Or you can always just use the minis and the maps for your own story and kind of leave the booklet aside. Or you can take inspiration from the book to incorporate some of those like weather and terrain and setting pieces into your ongoing gaming sessions, no matter where they are. And if you want, you can just run this as a standalone adventure. I think you can get through the content in probably 2 sessions, depending on how your party approaches it. There's a lot of room for the parties to kind of go in different ways to tackle the challenges and different methods. So that's always welcome, but it kind of would affect the length of your adventure. And I feel like there's a lot of ways to use the components of this box just over and over again in different ways, which makes it an even better value for the money. Speaking of which, the set has an MSRP of $49.95, and it'll be available on November 26, 2020 at the Steamforge Games web store and at retail. We'll be reviewing the follow-up box, Caverns of the Frost Giant, here very soon. Many thanks to our sponsor for this video. First, we have the Deck of Many and their Big Bad Booklet series, which is a monthly zine about boss monsters for 5th edition. Through their Patreon, you can sign up to receive digital or physical books that lead you through a short story centered around a particular big bad each month. The physical edition even comes with reference cards and art to help you enhance and streamline your game. This month, come meet Gix, a giant vulture with a habit of collecting the bones of legendary heroes. Will your skeleton end up in his sprawling ossuary? Find out by subscribing today at bigbadbooklet.com. And thank you to the Roll for Combat Actual Play podcast and their new adventure, The Agents of Edgewatch. This 2nd edition Pathfinder adventure tells a unique story of a group of lawful good city watch agents who have to keep their citizens safe during the sprawling Radiant Festival, while staying within the confines of the law, even while a lurking evil bides its time and grows in power. Check out the adventure today on your podcasting app of choice or over at rollforcombat.com. And thank you for watching today. You can help us out by clicking the little thumbs up button down below if you enjoyed the video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing our videos with your friends. All those metrics help us appeal to sponsors to improve and enhance and expand our coverage. We have a lot of fun things planned for you in the weeks to come. If you want to be one of the first ones to see them, be sure to click that little bell icon down there to be notified when we drop a new video. You can also follow all the latest news on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. In the meantime, have fun, stay safe, and I'll see you next time at the Gallant Goblin.